I added to the portfolio today is called vEmpire.
And they are the largest decentralized metaverse investment organization in the world.
Hello, everybody, and what a lovely day it is. Let you kick off, and I'll do some button tapping in the background. You know what comes after Ruby and Qcoin? When Binance. Hello, everybody. I just realised that we had Jordan in the first 10 seconds of that intro, but he hasn't been on yet, which is a bit strange. But yeah, welcome. We have a very special guest with us today. Board CEO, not of a protocol and not board, but we are very pleased to have from that Martini Guy, Jordan, with us on the show today. If we could bring him out.
There we go.
Magic. I didn't expect you to be so close to the camera then. You scared me.
I know, I had no idea. I mean, I can sit further back. Shall I do that? There we go.
No, that's all. I think it was just the sun coming on. Did you hear yourself in the intro there?
I did, yes.
We just stole that. We didn't bother to have you on. We just thought we'd take that bit out.
I know. I thought it was a bit weird.
That's all right. We'll rehash some of this and then have something a bit more fresh. How are you anyway?
I'm doing very good. Bitcoin is up today. Everything is going well, much better than it was yesterday. On a day-to-day basis, things in this industry just seem to be like one day everything's going wrong and you've lost all your money, and the next day it's all back. It's
Tell me about it. God. And people don't half let you know when it's going badly, do they?
Oh, people love to let you know when it's going badly. I mean, it's completely your fault. When things are going badly, it's absolutely your fault. There's nothing to do with the market going down. That didn't have anything to do with it. No.
I know. Trust me. I've had my fair share, and I've seen on your feed that unfortunately, it's like you twist these people's arm, and they just have to take you are the emperor. Everything you say goes. There's no free will, but there we are. Speaking of,
go on.
No, you. That's all I
was going to interrupt you and say, well, I think a common misconception that people have about people that trade crypto is that we just buy one coin and hold on to it forever. When in actuality, you buying one coin 1,000 times and holding on to it forever, and some of the things will do incredibly well over time and some of the things won't do. The point is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. For anybody that is watching and wondering what most people do in crypto, it's not putting all your eggs in one basket. And like, I've had things that have done well throughout this bearish period, and I've had things that have done terribly, and it kind of levels itself out over time.
Yeah, I think and also if you were sharing every single time you enter and exit any token, any coin, you'd have a very sore neck just on this all day long. But yeah, I mean, we titled the show today about altcoins. So to kick it off, rather than, I know you do love your TA on Bitcoin, and it obviously helps giving everything the direction, but you do get a few gems that sometimes do outperform. Is there anything in particular, apart from VEMP, of course, that you're looking at?
That I'm looking at or that I'm invested in? That's two different questions. So there are coins that I'm looking at, but there are coins that I'm invested in. Of course, honorable mention, Cult. I think we both like Cult. I liked it more a couple of weeks ago than I do currently, but of course, like, I think everybody likes it more a couple of weeks ago than they do currently. But on the whole, I think it's an interesting token model, and I really like it. But I think that we're going to talk about that a little bit later on anyway. So we'll just kind of brush over Cult. Other coins that I'm looking at, I like the whole move to earn craze. I think that is a healthy craze for crypto to go through. Ultimately, what people don't realize is it's the gaming phase, and I'm invested in so many different games in crypto. All you need is for one of them to take off, and say you get one Sandbox, one Axie Infinity. Suddenly you've gone 3,000x on your money, and didn't matter if you only had $100 of it. Now you're rich, and that's kind of what my strategy is with everything. It's invest in everything that looks good, and one or two of them will do incredibly well over a long period of time.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have that one with Cult. I think at pre-sale, and I actually held on to it as well, and I shielded it enough to Kyle, who eventually got involved. But it is about sort of picking them out and spreading everything across, because you never know. Even with marketing, I say this quite frequently when you're marketing your own token, you never know what the spark is that can end up igniting and just letting the whole thing go absolutely mental. It can come from nowhere. All you can do is try and like feed it, and like sort of, you know, give it the timber, but Bear Grylls over here. But yeah, you make a nest for it, and then enough sparks, eventually you'll get that fly. But it can come, you can be there for hours, or it can just be something random, something so dumb as well that could absolutely set it off. But yeah, it's when you finally get the 100x or 100 plus x, God. And then you always think, well, I should have got more of that. What's wrong with me? Every time.
That is it every time. But then again, when it goes back down again, you go, oh, I wish I'd have sold. That's another common one. I've had it with so many different coins. I mean, I don't want to name names, but I've had coins go from being 1 cent at pre-sale up to $8 and then back down to being 10 cents. And you go, why didn't I sell more when it was $8? What was wrong with me? Why didn't I see that?
I think that myself. But at the time, you always think, nah, this has got 10 in it. This has got to go 10. Everything's pointing to 10. And then it gets back down. You think, God, it gets down to like 40 cents. You're like, God, I would sell all of it at $1 right now. Like just, but yeah, you can never be happy. That's the thing. It's a gambler's fallacy.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're not gamblers, we're investors.
Yeah. Forget about that.
Just extreme investing. That's what I like to call it.
Definitely. Going back to my previous experience, I was actually a derivatives trader before. I never trade futures or margin ever in crypto. To put that out there before I even start talking about derivatives. But that was my old job. First one out of leaving college, before, in what was supposed to be a gap year before uni, but I never went in the end. I started out as a junior stockbroker and then became a derivatives trader. And that was all CFDs, spread betting. I mean, it's even called spread betting, but it's regulated under the FCA. No tax though. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I'm going to get people in trouble.
There's no tax on crypto derivatives either because it's illegal in the UK.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, every cloud. But yeah, I mean, going from sort of looking at all of the technical analysis and that people do, like, it's how much things evolve is what astounds me. Like when I was trading, never heard of a Bart Simpson, never heard of a cup and handle. But all it takes is one bloke on the trading floor suddenly decides something is a technical thing, like a cup and handle. Mm-hmm. And if enough people start believing it, that's all it takes. It's just pure. It's like almost like astrology. Once a technical becomes so ingrained in traders, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But in reality, it was just some bloke one day who said cup and handle, and it took off.
Exactly.
Now all of us.
Well, we just follow it, don't we? Ultimately, I say this about things all the time. People say, "Oh, your technical analysis is nonsense." It's not nonsense. It's nonsense that if everyone believes in it, then it always happens. And so it's predictable nonsense. It is kind of nonsense, but it does work to some extent. Sometimes it doesn't, but I'd say so long as you're managing to get 60% of your trades correct, then you should be making a profit. So long as you've got good risk management, even if your 40% of your trades are correct, you should be still making a profit as long as you have good risk management. It's just people in crypto, including myself, you sometimes lack the part of your brain that goes, let's manage some risk here. That's not always what we do.
Especially in the bull market.
Yeah, no. Well, that's, again, you can make so much money by being an irresponsible person when it comes to your finances, and so there is always that temptation, and it's important to stay grounded. And I did that quite successfully last bull run. Towards the end of it, I got carried away and did lose a fair chunk of money. It's always when you get carried away that's when you have the big hitters that sting.
I think we know the new segment for the intro is irresponsible with your finances. Take that bit part out, put it into the Board CEO show intro. But yeah, it's true. Like, for example, I'm in because we do a lot of early stage investing as well through the Ethereum strategy and the BNB strategy, which are like our generalist staking pools. And I'm in these group chats with like 200 VCs. And what I find so mental is that I got added to these all like sort of mid bull run, and they're all sort of sharing stuff that they backed and invested in the last bull run. And it, like, some of them are, you wouldn't believe, like, they're like, it's shocking that they thought it was a good idea, and now they're sharing, saying, is anybody in this? Because honestly, some of the stuff that people back in a bull run, the thing is, though, in a bull run, I'm going to get in trouble here, but in a bull run, literally, honestly, it's like any pre-sale.
It doesn't matter. It just does not matter what you back, because you generally get at least a 10x out of it. But if you don't sell, then you don't get your 10x, and then you get your minus. Me and my assistant, we were going through our investments from the bull run actually yesterday.
That was funny.
It was a 4-hour meeting that was not one of the most fun meetings of my life, because I would say a solid 60% of the things that we invested in are either at break even or below break even. The ones that are above, I'd say 20% are a 2 to 5x, and then the rest are still sitting pretty at the top, which is paying for the huge deficit that we've got at the bottom. But that's how crypto investing works. And when the market reinflates and that liquidity restores, a lot of that liquidity will go back into some of these rubbish ones. A lot of it will go back into the medium ones, and the ones that are doing really well now, well, they'll thrive in a bull run. So I have zero concerns, because the only people that are concerned are people that were here to make a quick buck. But I mean, a lot of us have been around now, including yourself, for a very long time. It's not like you're going to leave tomorrow with all of your money and just cash it in and all. Bitcoin's a load of nonsense now. You're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you've either got nothing or you've got everything. That's generally how these things end.
That's the dream. Yeah, it's sometimes I find the market so it's like Andre Cronje, the Yearn and sort of a Phantom, and then he just upped and left just because he was sick of it. And yeah, sometimes I can't blame him. It does get so toxic out there, especially in a bear market. It's like everyone just goes on the attack and just blames you for everything, and just attacks anyone, even if they're unrelated. And yeah, I think that it's something that crypto really needs to get a handle on, because it definitely will drive, like it did with Andre. He was one of the best and most innovative DeFi devs ever, and he's now pissed off because he just was sick of it. And yeah, depths of the bear, I was getting it in the neck. Like honestly, like patience is honestly 80% of the time, if you can hold from break even for a year, 2 years maximum, what the cycles that have been historically, 4 years, as long as you're not stupid, this can be a very easy game. But there are plenty of so I got distracted then because I just got called Tyson Fury, but 10 years younger. Very much.
That would make you 23. Tyson Fury is only 33 years old. Yeah, he's only 33.
Then, because I'm older than that. So thank you, Roger. But yeah, it's honestly just patience. Just people are obviously just chucking in stupid amounts at the top. It goes wrong, and they blame everyone but themselves. But yeah, honestly, so anyone watching this, just don't put in more than you can afford. And if you put in what you can afford and you can hold it for more than 4 years, you can probably do well. And everyone always asks me this, Jeff, it's just Coke. I don't drink. So everyone always thinks I'm having Guinness. I can imagine you have one north. You're looking around now, wondering where it is.
Oh, no, I've got water in a pink bottle.
Nice. Fair enough. It matches the
it does the background.
So that was something actually I saw. The name, that Martini Guy, came from just being like one of those, like your first ever email address where you just can't change it.
Yeah.
When was that created?
The origin of the name That Martini Guy comes from the fact that I used to have a Mini Cooper. That was the reason why I started YouTube. Is I used to watch a lot of car YouTubers, and I saw them all wrapping the car, putting an exhaust on it, that kind of thing. So I bought a Mini. I put a Martini livery all over the Mini, and then called myself That Martini Guy. doesn't really fit that well with crypto, seeing as though like I quickly realized, having done that I didn't have rich parents that could like pay me through car YouTube, because all car YouTubers, I don't know if you've noticed, but they've all got very posh accents, and generally it either comes from Supercars of London. He made a lot of money at the start of YouTube, kind of taking off. Ad revenue was good, and then he could afford to kind of build out on his cars and stuff like that. Whereas a lot of the new car YouTubers coming through these days, they have a lot of money already backing them, so they can afford to invest in it like you would do any other business. And being that I didn't have any capital to invest in a business, I had no reputation, I had 6 points on my driving license. There was no way that I could become a car YouTuber. So I quickly kind of knocked that on the head, and then started kind of in the bear market. I made my name in the same way that a lot of people are trying to make their name now by annoying us, which is by exposing people. And so when I was exposing people back then, it was a bit different because I was going out there with evidence and kind of publishing evidence. Whereas these days, people just throw accusations around like with no evidence, nothing to back anything up. And it frustrates me because it's like it's the most lazy way of exposing. If you're going to expose something, present evidence and proof. Don't just say this address belongs to XYZ person. Prove that address belongs to XYZ person. I used to spend weeks exposing somebody. The one thing that I picked actual genuinely good targets, like BitConnect 2.0. Do you remember when BitConnect 2.0 came along? And for like 2 or 3 months, there was loads of hype around BitConnect 2.0, and it was going to come. Actually, came back as a DAO. But BitConnect 2.0 came back, and basically I found the guy that made it, and they were trying to integrate BitConnect's coin with that. And then I made an expose video about it. Turned out the guy was a convicted murderer from Austria. Yeah. The video is still up on YouTube. It's worthwhile watching. If you just type in BitConnect 2.0 exposed, it should be one of these 2 videos I made about it. But that's the kind of thing that people don't do these days. But that's I made my name in crypto in the same way that a lot of these people that are exposing people made their name. It's just these days the exposing bar is very low and hate is very high, whereas hate used to be medium and the exposing bar was much higher. Like you had to try a lot harder back then.
Yeah, well, trust me, I know one thing that always frustrates me so much. You won't get this probably because it's to do with having your own token, but people have no idea how market making works. They think that an exchange just lists you and they just have tons of liquidity on there and they just have enough users to buy and sell.
Mm-hmm.
Most exchanges outside of Binance, Coinbase, FTX will need market makers because they don't have people buying and selling altcoins day in, day out, tons of liquidity. So then when they see you sending tokens to an exchange, they immediately say you're dumping. Like you don't understand that somebody needs to facilitate every single buy and sell on an exchange, but you can't send tokens because that means that you're selling on an exchange. And even then, the whole concept of an exchange is that there is only ever one true market for tokens, and that is the decentralized exchange. Mm-hmm. Everything else is false. It's all artificial. It's created by market makers. Their job is to draw the pretty lines, and their job is to keep the price in line with the main market, which is the decentralized exchange. So our market makers, for example, their one job is to make sure that exchanges themselves, actual centralized exchanges, cannot use their bots to send VEMP from their exchange at a lower price and then sell it into our liquidity pool. So that's why you employ market makers, because you need to keep the prices the same, because if you don't, then the exchange will dump on you. So that's all market making is. But people see that you're sending tokens and they think that you're dumping. When sometimes when you're trying to do stuff for a positive reason to help, and then people still sort of accuse you of something else. God, I don't think I haven't yet done it. My brother can't do the same. He snapped once. He'll probably be watching this and saying, "Don't go into it more detail." He went mental once. It was hilarious. We still talk about it now, but yeah, it's especially at the bottom, it does really get to you. But you have peaks and troughs in every. I'm not sure. It's probably the same for yourself. People do get bored of giving you shit sometimes, and you have a community that goes up. You absolutely go on a run. We got to like 500 million, got to 65 cents. And then you've got all the people who bought like 50 cents to 65 cents, who absolutely curse you, death threats, everything all the way down. By the time you get to the bottom, they're all out. They've all sold. They don't have the patience for it. And then you have like your community changes over time. And you have people who like you, they hate you, they leave, and it refreshes again. And it's just the cycles. It's like almost as a roller coaster of going up and down with following the price, but you've got the same with everyone's emotions. And that's the tough part, to be honest.
I find it all very. I've always enjoyed the fractious nature of crypto investing, because you don't get the same thing with a stock. For example, stock goes down, people don't scream and shout at the CEO. I quite enjoy the fact that it is something that happens, but it is also infuriating seeing people with a very small understanding of the way that crypto works acting like experts and then imposing their opinion as a fact, and that I find frustrating. But also I appreciate that it exists, and it's all fun and games. Like, that's the joy of these free to use platforms like Twitter. The whole point is so that people can get called out on the nonsense, essentially. But for me, I can fully understand that why people would assume that you sending market making coins to an exchange would be considered. Or do people not understand that's also a really dumb way of doing it? There's much better ways. If you were to be wanting to, don't, that's like the most obvious way possible. Don't do that.
Sometimes I actually think like as in sometimes I'll get an accusation and I'll think, if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't be so stupid. Like people would be like, oh, I've seen this or I've seen that, and it's like, well, if I was going to send my tokens to an exchange, I wouldn't send them from the vEmpire Deo deployer wallet to the exchange where it's literally on Etherscan today. I'm like, do you think like I'm that stupid? But yeah, there we go. Get back to crypto, and rather than I can go all day about moaning. Don't get me started on that. You already did. But yeah, so one thing that I noticed on your videos, which is slightly different to others, is that you'll always tend to be fairly heavily focused on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Why is that specifically? Is it just sort of what your bread and butter? Is it what you sort of started on and now?
It's the safest asset for new people to be investing into. And then when they get... So I structure my videos in a way whereby I think 50% of people watch one half of the video and a different 50% of people watch the other half. So I start out talking Bitcoin crypto news. Then as the video goes on, it gets more and more degenerate, and then it ends up on the altcoin section, which tends to... It depends what... Like, of course, you don't talk about altcoins so much. If the market's down, altcoins are the fastest way for people to lose money. So it needs to be something that people are quite happy to dip into and then dip out of, and dip into and dip out of. So, of course, why would I cover an investment that just keeps losing 20% of its value every day? That just seems like the most... I wouldn't want to watch that content anyway. I don't want to know. I just kind of want to get some kind of bullish news, some nice hype, some good vibes. I don't come to someone's channel to watch them complain about how much money they've lost. And so I wouldn't really expect my audience to sit and watch. I mean, I'm sure they'd find it absolutely fascinating, but at the same time, I'd just get rinsed. Like, people are going to be so mean.
Just that Martini guy.
Yeah. If you want to see a video like that, watch yesterday's live stream. Probably... There's certain things that I say on the internet, I think I should not be saying this right now, but then I continue saying it. And you just end up, I guess it's kind of like when you moan on a stream, but then you find yourself in this rabbit hole, and you keep going down the rabbit hole, and then before you know it, you're talking about something that you really shouldn't be talking about. But that's why, again, I enjoy live streams, because only a small select amount of people that actually care and are interested about what you're doing are actually listening. So the actual damage that's done is only into a group of like 900, 1,000 people that are watching live, which is kind of fine.
That much. That's yours. Speak for yourself there. Yeah, well, hopefully send them our way. Those who have come over from your channel, definitely like and subscribe to us, please, as well.
Well, I'm just gonna go over to your Twitter right now and give it a quick retweet so that my people will join. Hopefully, there we go.
You did give us a quick one before we started, but appreciate it. But yeah, I'm sure. Well, all we need to do is say the C word, and then we'll get probably a flood coming. But not yet. Let's keep them on their toes. But yeah, I mean, I was never one, and to this day, in fact, I don't think I have any Bitcoin, and I might not be making it due to that. But it's just I'm one of those typical idiots. I believe it's already had its gains. Like, I just have no concept. Like, I'm just one of those people. Like,
Well, you know, when you take profits and you see an asset that rises in price generally around 100% every couple of years, you just take profits into that asset, and then over time you end up with more money. It is what my genuine advice would like. Bitcoin as an investment asset is not that attractive. Like, I mean, I don't hold Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is going to make me super rich. Altcoins will make me super rich. I'll just take profits to Bitcoin when it's time to be sensible, because I don't want to put the money in the bank, and I don't want stable coins because I still don't agree with necessarily the way that it all happens. And assets are good. Bitcoin is good. I just considered like Bitcoin is just much easier than buying a house. When I bought my house, I had to pay thousands of pounds to lawyers. I had to pay loads of tax. You buy Bitcoin, there's no tax, no lawyers, no nonsense. It's much better.
That's the point. Like, I'm actually getting married next month, and I'm living like, as in, this is the thing, like, because it's so busy with crypto. Like, I live in the exact same flat that I have always lived in, like, since the past 5 years. I only got a new car for the first time the other week, and it's a Mercedes. It's nice, but it's not Lambo, not like you. And I just haven't had time to, like, do anything. I need to, like, go on holiday or something, but I'm always stuck here in this corner where everyone sees me 24/7, or in bed on my laptop. That's another part. I used to be, like I said, I used to be a trader. I had 4 massive screens in front of me, all these charts and everything, and now I've just got my Mac here. Like, that's all. You got to have more than one screen, surely.
I've got 1, 2, 3, but it's only because, I mean, I don't have lots of trading screens open. I feel like trading for the most part is a bit of a waste of time. You can end up sat on an exchange all day and achieve absolutely nothing. So what I try and do these days is take a smaller leveraged trade and then not pay any attention to it all day, and then try and do my work, because these days my business is growing, like all of them. They're growing at a pace whereby I can't keep up. They're growing faster than I can hire people and scale the businesses, and it's I'm in a very similar situation to you. I probably do the exact same thing as you. Probably get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that, straight over to the computer, sit on the computer till 10 o'clock at night, then back to bed, do that same thing every day. And in the same way that you said, well, I've not had time to acquire assets and kind of enjoy any money that you might have made so far. I'm in a similar position, but I did buy some things. It's just to go out and buy a car doesn't take that long, because I don't do finance or anything. It's pretty easy. You just pay cash, and it takes 1 day to go and buy a car. So I just buy them, just find a few hours in a day, decide which one you want. And people are always shocked as well when I went to go and buy the Bentley, I walked into the dealership. I was like, I'd like that one, please. He's like, would you like a test drive? I go on, let's go on a test drive. Took half an hour. Right, I'll have that one again, please. He's like, okay. Do you have the money to pay for it? Yeah, just can I have that one, please? And it took a little bit of time for him to kind of fully understand, because I rang him up beforehand and I said, look, I want to buy this car. I'm coming in to buy it. But no one can ever get over the age or the fact that you're paying in cash. They always think it's weird. But then you explain what you do, and then they go, oh, you are a weirdo. So.
I know what you mean. As in, I still, like, to this day, like, I remember when when I left my old job, and what had happened was I was working. This wasn't at a VC firm, like a typical boring VC though, not tech or anything, as in invested in asset-backed businesses. That's obviously where well, I say background, you can't really get a background to virtual property management, but we invested in care homes, gyms, children's nurseries, any business with a freehold property that we could basically take charge of should the actual business fail in its trading. So that's sort of asset protection. And that is what led on to the metaverse. Tell you what, I've forgotten what I was saying before that. How did I get onto that? I was saying something before that.
You were talking about the way that you...
Yeah, I was talking about how I left my old job, and
Yes.
then people thinking that crypto like doesn't exist is what I was saying, and how you get sort of that wealth. Even when I left my old job, I said I'm starting a crypto token. All of my old bosses said he's in cryptos, and I said I'm launching this token. I think it's going to go well, but we've got sale on this date. It's in 6 weeks' time. I can't do my work alongside it anymore. It's just taking up too much of my time. So I said I need to leave, and they said don't leave. Take a sabbatical. I thought, well, that's great. I got 6 weeks off to try and make it a success, and if it fails, I'll go back to my job. But even then, even when it went well, people thought, well, you know, he's raised. I think we sold out 720 Ethereum in less than 5 minutes, so 2.5 million at that point in time. And they said, yeah, but you can't get that money. It doesn't. It's just, you know, you can't actually withdraw crypto. You can't get that money. It's like people still believe that to this day. Like that, why invest in Bitcoin? You can't get it off like the internet. It doesn't exist.
Well, if you could put the money on the internet, then you can obviously take it off, is what I would argue. If you can buy Bitcoin, somebody sold it to you. That's
Well, they have I think 94% of all fiat is just only exists on the internet. I think that the main problem that I always find in talking to people about crypto, it isn't necessarily they don't understand crypto, they don't understand value, and they define value as something physical when it never has been. Value is always just how much will you as a buyer pay me as a seller for something, or vice versa. And that is why if I walk into a supermarket and get some pasta for £1 right now, back in COVID, people were reselling like pasta and toilet rolls for like 5 times that. Why? Because value is only ever denoted by how much a buyer will pay a seller for something. Supply and demand, and that's all it is. And people don't understand the concept of deflation or even static and not being capped. It's absolutely mental. Just people think that value can only be what's in their hand, but yet paper is worth more. But yeah, it's just all time and place. And eventually, the more people who understand that Bitcoin is valuable, and the more adoption that it gets, that's why it goes up in price. But
it just does it a lot slower than everything else because it's so big already. So it's like how much money more can really flow into this system. Whereas I suppose something like VEMP or something like Cult, they are 1,000 times smaller than Bitcoin, so it doesn't take a whole lot of money to make the money go up larger. And then people go, yeah, but that sounds like a Ponzi scheme. And I would go, it does. It does, because all money is a Ponzi scheme. All business is a Ponzi scheme. Everything is a Ponzi scheme. You have in a business, you have a man at the top that employs people, and those people maybe subcontract out to even more people. This is a pyramid shape. The person at the top is profiting from all of the things that's happening down here, exactly like a Ponzi scheme. Everything is a Ponzi scheme. And I was trying to explain this concept as well. What's that?
That's capitalism.
Yep, that's capitalism. Capitalism is Ponzi schemes. And so then it's a common accusation that is levied at the crypto space that, oh, well, if I put more money in, and that means there is more liquidity, then that causes the value of this coin to rise, then that sounds like a Ponzi. Yes, it kind of is, but also if you're saying that is, then all monetary structure is a Ponzi scheme. And it's just because the pyramid of cash is so big that nobody can actually see where the peak of the triangle stops, because you don't know the guy that's right on the top. I mean, the governments are the ones that are right at the very top of the cash Ponzi scheme, because they're the ones that are benefiting from all of this liquidity and the buying and spending, because it's kind of like what Cult has. Cult's got that tax system. Well, what do the governments have? They have a much larger tax system, and then they take all of that tax money and then they spend it on proposals, which is public services. The monetary structure in all of these things is exactly the same. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle getting their head around, because they go, no, you're not actually creating anything. And you're not. You're just kind of displacing where the value is. But displacement of value is profitable. Displacement of value is profitable.
Yeah, there was something we touched on earlier, which reminded me of this point, and it was when we were talking about market making and sending tokens to MEXC, and you were saying that nobody gives the CEO death threats if a stock goes down. And that is where the reason they don't, and people don't even care about this. This is what's so crazy, is that the reason these people don't get all the shit that we get is due to the fact that it's so opaque that nobody sees it. That is the only difference. It's all happening in the current financial system.
Yeah.
And it's all happening in every single shareholder capital system that retail is getting dumped on by founders. It's literally the same thing, but the only difference is you cannot see it. And because of that, you're blind to it. And the whole world is blind to it. The monetary system itself is a Ponzi scheme. Sapphires are rarer than diamonds. Diamonds are worth more. Why? Because of marketing, just like crypto. You can have something that's worth absolutely nothing, and just, like Doge, for example, there is no utility. At least, with stuff like Shiba, people, it does actually have, it has Shiba Swap, it has Bone, it has Leash. They're trying to actually build utility. But with Doge, it just doesn't have anything. It is just purely a meme coin. But why does it do well? Because it was pushed by marketing, whether that was people talking to people about it, like a Ponzi scheme, or anything. Value is just how much a buyer will pay a seller for something. That is all it is. And the more people, here we go, the more people talk about something and follow the first rule of something, then the higher it goes. And that's what Cult is doing so well, in the system that's been designed is a self-fulfilling prophecy, not just on a tokenomics level, but also on a community level. The only thing that they need to function is volume. Price doesn't matter to the actual tokenomics. Lower prices mean at the same volumes, more is taken into the treasury, which means higher values in the future when it goes back up, and more is burned. So organic price support.
And then we come back to the point about patience as well. Well, you've got to be patient to let in a case like Cult's tokenomics might take a couple of years to play out. You never know how long these things are going to take to play out. So the more patience that you have, the more likely you are to strike gold on one of these things. Because if you sell out early, you've sold your lucky ticket essentially. And look at how many coins I sold. Sandbox. I sold all my Sandbox when it was like near enough at the bottom. And then Sandbox went and shot like 1,000x or something. And I sold mine for 30K. I think I added it up at the peak of the bull run. It would have been worth about $5 million for like 30K's worth of Sandbox. And unfortunately, I held on to my Sandbox land that I had all the way back then. But it's one of them things. I sold my ticket. The tokenomics were there. I was just not in that scenario. Actually, I think I had to pay rent or something like that, and I basically needed to fund the next few months. So I just used to sell, like, just sacrifice one thing in order to make sure that I could keep going when I hadn't essentially no income. It wasn't that I didn't have money; it's that I didn't have income. When you go through these bearish periods, income drops away very quickly. Or in my case, your portfolio just gets absolutely trashed. But I'll sit on it. I'll wait. It's fine.
Why do we do it to ourselves? Add up like that. Like, there's no benefit to us. We only want to, we must love misery and just pain. Like, human beings, we would all do it. I would do it myself. Like, if I sell something too early, all I do is I keep looking at it. And why do I do it? I must enjoy it. I must like suffering, because that is all crypto is. But yeah, going back to Cole, As in, yeah, it is just a game of patience because it's designed in a way that the system itself is more efficient at decreasing the supply the lower it goes. So honestly, with that system itself, every person that sells it gets scared, helps the core believers. The people who actually understand the tokenomics are the ones who actually will and do benefit with Cult, because people who don't understand it and just think it's a meme coin, or people who don't understand it and just think that the founders were Ryoshi and that's why they bought it, or Vitalik, or Elon Musk, or anything. If you don't understand the tokenomics of something and it goes against you, you don't have confidence and you sell it. But at least with Cult, those people who are uneducated on the tokenomics are helping. Every time that they sell, every time that they drop the price, every time that they transact, it fills the treasury and it gives an additional amount. So the core community, who are the ones who are following the first rule and talking about Cult, are the ones that benefit from all of those people who don't understand it. And they're the ones who overall will be around, because yeah, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more they talk, the more the volume goes up, the more gets taken out of circulation, the more that's burned. So yeah, it's very much very clever.
Well, I think from my understanding, one of the main reasons as to why Cult has not had a major exchange listing so far would be down to the fact that the tokenomics are ahead of where the exchanges are at in terms of the development of what they're doing, which tells you something about at least some thoughts gone into the technology. It's not just a copy paste idea. If it can't be integrated within the existing systems that exchanges have, it means that it is the first of its kind, in theory. And generally, when you invest in the first of any kind of thing, there's no guarantee it's going to go well, but you can guarantee it is going to be interesting and it's going to be something that sticks around, because Cult being a DAO, it relies on audience participation is probably how I would describe it. It relies on people caring about it. It relies on people being interested about it. And I remember, have you ever seen Banking on Bitcoin, the documentary?
I don't think I've watched it, but
right, it's a good documentary. You should watch it. Anyone watching this stream right now should watch Banking on Bitcoin. It used to be on Netflix, and in that documentary, there was video footage of Eric Voorhees and Roger Ver going around in public. And I think this is another good method for Cult holders to do. Proper grassroots. When Bitcoin was very small, they used to go around in public and give away Cassius Bitcoins to people, which are basically now Cassius Bitcoins. They're worth an absolute fortune because they didn't make that many of them. But they also used to just tell people, look, download this wallet and I'll give you $5 of this coin. And because Bitcoin's price back then was like $10 and $5, they're giving away like 60 grand a pop if these people are still holding them. So from my perspective, if Cult as a community wanted to grow and the community cared about it a lot, I always find that grassroots, it makes is a really good way into the traditional media side of it, because traditional media covers it. They go, what are these weirdos doing in a park handing out free money? But also then people go home and they have a conversation with somebody, and then they look at it on the internet. Oh, I want £10 worth of that as well. And that's how these wealth structures grow. I think you look at my channel, I've never really got into the YouTube algorithm. It's always been very much word of mouth has what spread my channel. And it's also what's kind of guaranteed me 10,000 viewers per video since a very long time now. And it's because my core audience, I think, that watches my channel kind of understands me. They understand what I'm about, but also it's grown through word of mouth. It's not grown through marketing. It's not grown through hype. It's grown through very grassrootsy kind of recommendations, that kind of thing. And I think it's a really good way for any company to grow is the more grassrootsy model. Maybe vEmpire wants to do that. Go into a park, start giving away free money.
Exactly. I think it helps if you do have something like Cult where it's 0.00, because then you can you can give away. Do you want 1 million Cult? And jump down your vote, and then you send it, and it's like a couple of dollars. But still, yeah, I think adoption is key. I've noticed some people saying that like it is the first crypto that they bought, which is good because it means that they've obviously found something in it that spoke to them that hadn't got them into crypto before. Perhaps if they'd read, and understood the reason why Bitcoin was created, as a response to the global financial crisis, then that it's very similar in terms of the moral fiber with the manifesto. But yeah, I think that it can be spread a lot physically. I think that I think I saw that they've got like a billboard being designed for Times Square. Classic crypto move.
It is. I don't understand that one. It is there for a bit and then it is gone and then that's it. It's like it must not cost that much money, and that's all I can figure about it because it can't cost that much money. The amount of people that are doing Times Square billboards is just for a photo opportunity.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they don't have to be. I think we had one. I think it came as part of like an overall package with someone. It wasn't that expensive. But this one is like, one of the, not just like we can now say that we've had it in Times Square because it was on a rotator for like 3 minutes of the day. And then one bloke got a picture of it. So there you go, share it on your Twitter. I think it is actually like a massive side of like a building, like one of the proper ones rather than just being a photo op. But yeah, I mean, they've also had, have you seen, they've had a van, well, not a van, like a truck basically with videos driving around next to like the Wall Street Bull. But yeah, I think that the adoption can definitely grow more physically, and by having that presence, what they need to do is get like 10 million masks made, like in V for Vendetta, where before the 5th of November they send masks to every single house so that everyone can come out wearing it. Need to do something like that. They need to find some factory that can push those out.
Depending on who owns the most, my suggestion for cult DAO guardians would be to pool a little bit of money together and then come up with a marketing campaign that involves giving out free money. It's always the best way because when you have free money, you can spend money on marketing, or you can use the money as the marketing. And I would always argue that using the money as the marketing is a much more effective strategy because how many times do you actually see an advert for a crypto and then go and buy it? I just look at it in 95% of cases and think scam, because whoever is putting marketing up for crypto, like most of them are meme coins. I just think it's just crap. I'm not interested in that. I would much rather see somebody just, I don't know, some mail campaign or scan this QR code and get 50 cult dropped into your MetaMask wallet or something like that. There's got to be a way of doing it. But
I've definitely seen there's some QR code stuff going on, stickers and stuff like that. But yeah, I think in terms of like, because I don't think it will take much. I mean, especially when I was talking about airdrops, they've got that new token coming out. So that's a one way, as in, but obviously people need to buy or own cult to get the new token. But I mean, I think once the media becomes aware of cult and of Revolt to Earn, I mean, it tells its own story.
Can you sum up Revolt to Earn in 2 minutes so that my subscribers can understand what it is? I know there's a token attached to it. From my understanding, there's going to be an airdrop of a token that is attached to. So that you have cult token, and then for those people that are staking their cult, then you get Revolt token. But I actually don't understand the way that it fits together. That's through my own lack of research and just being generally busy.
Because yeah, I know there was a medium release, so I'm typing it in here. I mean, I can guess, but I don't want to be one of those people who ends up saying something wrong and then here we are. So So essentially, in order to incentivize and reward, all of those people that we see on Twitter constantly tweeting, supporting the many. That's the name. Basically, so in order to make sure that people can continue to support cult, they want to effectively have almost like a play to earn system where by talking about cult, people earn money so that they can spend more time talking about cult rather than working. So they want to free people from their day jobs.
To shill cult on the internet. What a productive way of spending it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it doesn't look like they're releasing the full design yet. Just to protect.
I'm seeing a lot of people in my comments that are doing this cash tag of Revolt token, which is why, from my understanding, there's going to be some Revolt token.
Yes, there's it's already on CoinMarketCap and it's not even out for a month. But yeah, so they're not releasing the full economic and tokenomic model yet, just to protect the many from a multitude of shitcoins and scammers that no doubt would rush something out attempting to copy it, which is fair enough. I'm sure that there's already 17 Revolt tokens on 17 different chains, all rug pulls. So definitely. I've
always wondered that. Who actually is buying these coins? Who is falling for this? Because for me, it's really simple. You just wait till the Twitter account tweets out the contract address, and then that's the one that you use.
There's something that they do, scammers, called spoofing, and I don't know why Etherscan haven't sorted it. Maybe it's because they're decentralized. But essentially, you can do a transaction that makes it look like it was a certain address that did a transaction. So what you can do if you're a scammer is you can make, for example, you can create a token, but you can spoof it so that it looks like the deployer wallet created it. So essentially, if you click on the transaction and you look, you can see it was actually somebody else. But what will happen is you'll look in your account and you'll see that you've been given something from vEmpire deployer, and you think, oh my God, the airdrop started. And then you copy and paste it, you go in and you buy it, not thinking that you're like the first to see it. And then it's like a honeypot or something like that. So that's how they trick you. They try and take advantage of FOMO.
I've always found, it's very interesting, and the wallet connection scams, and I get them all the time, whereby they like put their they airdrop a token to your wallet, and it's got a web address is the name of the token, and all you need to do to lose all of your money is go to that web address and connect your wallet, and before you know it, you've approved transaction on there, and then bam, everything's gone immediately. It's a scary one. That's what happened to me in 2018. I just connected to a dodgy site, and then check my MetaMask, gone, everything. It was terrible day.
I always wonder, because I guess you with MetaMask, you pick which account. Whenever I'm worried, if it's something, even if someone I trust has sent it to me, if I'm not familiar with the site, I'll always connect like a secondary or a tertiary wallet first rather than the main one, just to make sure it's legit and not to get cleaned out. But yeah, it's no wonder everyone's always at each other's throats. Everyone's always in a heightened state of paranoia, just waiting to get screwed over. I've just been reading a little bit more. So the idea is that with the two tokens together, Cult and Revolt, Cult sort of works to invest in protocols sort of furthering the cause, furthering decentralization, the revolution, and then Revolt works on Polygon and basically supports the individuals who are, supporting the overall protocol. So essentially, it's like a bank and like a people's assembly. I presume that's why they're calling it citizens of cult, as if it's like its own like country.
It's a very strange marketing. I do actually. One of the things I wish changed about Cult is I wish Mr. Omodulus learned to spell. I don't like his way of spelling things. Like when he puts when, like when is not what. I get you're writing it like memes, but when is WHEN. It's not WEN. Learn.
Everyone says when.
No.
Even I say when, because I think it's because devs, we constantly get people in our chat saying just impatient people who've like put like $5 in saying when Binance, and most of the time they are seriously spelling it like that, and so now like if I ask my brother or any of my team anything, I will always say when and spell it WEN. I don't even spell it with a H anymore. Even to my fiance, if she's like gone shopping, I say when home with WEN.
Well, it gets me. Like devs are some of the smartest people in the world, and yet they don't spell. Learn to spell. It's not like you can't spell. You would come. And the other thing is with someone like Mr. Omodulus, I think that if he did spell things in a correct way and came across as a brainiac, I actually think that'd be really good for Cult. I think that it would take away that because it can be quite edgy, but I don't necessarily always think that edgy is the best way forward when it comes to marketing. It's much easier to market a cleaner cut individual than it is an edgelord. Edgelords tend to be just worse to deal with overall. Like they're more scary to deal with an edgelord. You want to know what you're gonna get. And so if I were Mr. Omodulus, I would put a suit on my character or something that's in my thumbnail and take myself a bit more seriously, because ultimately you're in charge of what is essentially $100 million DAO. Like it's a big thing that you.
The point is that he's not. It's a DAO, isn't it? It's the
yeah. I mean, he's the spokesperson for it.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, if anyone actually does go under the hood, like as in once you read the manifesto, like you can tell, like obviously the guy is super literate and super clever. But yeah, I mean, on Twitter, he loves a shitpost and he loves a good meme. But yeah, I think that I don't know. I think there's something more relatable.
There is more relatable and more organic and more everyday. But it's an interesting debate of, is it better to go with what is acceptable, or is it better to stand out like a sore thumb, not play by any norms, and just spell the words incorrectly? For me, it's one of the things that's so easy to fix. Just put a H, just put H in there.
If he's tweeted at some point in the past like 10 minutes just saying when just to but I think yeah, I think maybe if like the thing is obviously because he's not the he's not like the CEO or and because the liquidity is locked for 265 years, I guess sort of that part he's sort of done his job, as in like the initial capital is all locked. It's like it's unruggable, isn't it? So he sort of doesn't need to act any different to whoever they are, because it's not like he owns it. It's owned by the many and the guardians. It's just he's just the person who created it. He's not.
With these things, I always wonder how much does the founder actually have. It's always an interesting question, because of course, in order for it to be fair and adoptable, you don't want the founder to have loads and loads of tokens. You want him to have really the maximum amount would be being a guardian, like just be one of however many guardians there is, so they have a say in what they're doing. But ultimately, with it being a DAO, you need to take in everyone else's opinion into account. It's all very interesting. Cult's a weird one.
Mm.
It's grown very quickly anyway, and I do wish I'd have spotted it earlier, but one of them things. We live and learn.
Yeah, I think on the tokenomics side, I know that the developers, because I don't think it was just one bloke who coded it all. There was definitely a team. I know that the developers have got allocations that are vesting, so they unlock over a certain time period. Just like how in the normal market they do. But yeah, I guess it's like the age-old question with us. If we can't sell, can we? As in, like, nobody, can't sell a dime because then you're evil. So I guess it's the exact same thing there. What is too much? Does that count as decentralized? Why shouldn't they earn some money from what they created? But again, when are they selling? Are they doing market making? That sort of thing. But yeah, it's just it's one of those things, isn't it? Like you can't really. Everyone's got a different definition of.
I would argue that selling for anybody, even founders, is perfectly fine to do, so long as you don't tell your community that you're going to do it, and you don't tell them after you've done it, and you just kind of keep it to yourself. And as long as it doesn't affect price, I don't see as why it should affect anything. A founder's liquidity is provided to them because they came up with a good idea and they invented something that was cool and did well. But if the founder doesn't cash in on that, and then eventually it goes south, then if the founder didn't make any money from it, there's not going to be part two. So I would always argue that at least when a founder takes profits to do something, if it's in the best interest of the protocol or project or whatever it is always worthwhile. But I would also say if a founder is cashing in after 2 months, they're not a very good founder, because really they should be. So for example, Crypto Saving Expert, my company, when am I planning on cashing out shares? Well, probably 3 years down the line. So there's a long period of time between, like, a lot of work's going to go into it between now and then. I'm not really bothered about what, if it did have a live share price. I wouldn't be bothered about what it is. It doesn't have a live share price because, of course, it's a startup. Startups don't have tickers, or at least they shouldn't have tickers. In today's world, a startup can have a ticker, but they shouldn't have tickers. If I do my job correctly and I build the business in the way that it should be built, then not only should the employees benefit from that, but I should be able to benefit from that. So I would argue that it's when you're
transparency in crypto, isn't it? Because people just, as in, it's all well and good saying that they should be able to, but in reality, it is extremely rare. And the reason why is because everybody is so used to getting rugged that if a founder even sells a dime, they scarper and they absolutely shit themselves and think that they're legging it. In reality, if everybody was just sensible, both users and founders and anyone selling, it would all be completely fine. But it's not, because people are irrational in their reactions due to past experience of irrational founders. But it's just so now everyone is always so scared that they immediately jump to the conclusions, which are almost always wrong. It's like I've definitely experienced that myself. You probably have in some ways as well, with like you couldn't possibly talk about a token and have it go wrong. You must have shilled it, and then
I talk about coins on the channel all the time. Like, this is the most common accusation I get. You're dumping. It's not me that's selling. It's you. it's you that's selling. And I have this conversation with my audience on a regular basis. Look, it's not me that's selling. My bags, they're still packed. You're the one that's panic selling, and then by accusing me of selling and then creating this negative kind of downward spiral, you're causing other people to get scared, and then they're selling. So what you're doing by speaking negatively of something on the internet is causing this downwards selling pressure. And because in bear markets there's no buying pressure, like, you're just selling into liquidity. No one's buying it off you. No one's filling up liquidity pools in bear markets. People do that in bull markets. That's when you make money.
Trust me, I've had this conversation before after the last sort of bottom, sort of after Russia, We had community saying like, when are we going to have an exchange listing? This would be like where every half an hour I have to be like completely focused on the chat to delete some like person who's like sending in like stuff about like that I should die and stuff. And then people say, when are we getting exchange listed? It's like, do you think the exchanges don't bother to look into our chats? And do you think that they would see the like atmosphere and think, we're not sending our users there? But again, people don't understand like how it works. Just that people think that it's just, it's very, very difficult to manage. And it's no wonder that people stay anonymous as founders, because if you don't, like you can get it in the neck twice as much.
Well, you get it much worse, but also I would argue for any founder that's anonymous, I don't necessarily really like. I think that you should put your face to it. Even goes for Mr. Homodulus. Take a selfie, put it to Twitter. I dare you. Like the point of an anonymous founder, I get it, but also I think that any developer that is proud of their work should attach their face to it. Because if you believe in what you're doing, you should be perfectly happy to be public. And I actually think it would do so well for Cult if he did that. It's an interesting question. Should he do it? Shouldn't he do it? Generally, over time, history would dictate, no, you should never. If you're not gone public from day one, then you shouldn't go public. That kind of goes with like YouTubers that have stayed anonymous their entire time. As soon as you go public, the mystery is over. Like the reason to be there is gone. And I would argue that again, in the case of Cult, that's true. But if he wore a mask and took a selfie, that would be different. That gives you more of a clue. It gives you more reason to engage. It gives you the fact that there is actually a real person behind this account. And like, oh, that eyebrow, I recognize that from some crypto 2 years ago. Is that interesting?
So again, with culture specific example, as in like, for example, if you're just I founded a DeFi protocol, but I'm not going to show my face. That's one thing. But when you're inciting revolution and you're inciting and trying to not every protocol is trying to collapse like the global financial system as their stated intention. So I can imagine that he's probably not going to sort of just give it away. But who knows? I'm sure if he's managed to like get a 3D printer, maybe you'll see him.
We could do like the whole Tom Cruise thing. Have you seen the Tom Cruise Instagram account with the guy that uses like this AI that he's made, and it makes him, because he's got a similar face to Tom Cruise anyway, it just edits his face a little bit, makes him look exactly like Tom Cruise. And then they make all of these prank videos looking like Tom Cruise, and they're quite amusing. But you could do something like that. You could send messages to the community. I actually think, for as far as Cult marketing goes, to make some videos with the guy that's in charge of it with some video edited face, I think all these stuff would go down really well, and it would boost your engagement. And ultimately, if the aim is to talk about Cult, why is the founder not making videos talking about Cult? Mr. Homodulus, go on. Go on.
He's definitely you're trying to bait him. But I think you're steering for a guardianship job. That's what you're doing here. Steering for an alo.
I don't have enough tokens for guardianship. I have
exactly. That's why you're trying to get Mr. Homodulus.
I mean, he can give me and make me a guardian, but I think I'm about halfway there to being a guardian. I don't have enough, and as it is, I just committed to spending another 120k on more various different VC related things, and now that's drained my liquidity for the next kind of couple of weeks. So yeah, it's what it is.
We need to ask the community some questions, because we're into an hour and 10 minutes. I think we've broken the record for the Bull CEO show. So any questions from the vEmpire community, from anyone in the Cult community, anyone in Jordan? Waiting. See, everyone loves to ask questions midway, but then as soon as I ask for questions,
well, you've got to wait for that delay to kick in. You got your delay being on YouTube is about maybe 15 seconds right now. So people should be sending the questions in. Take them maybe 10 seconds to think of a question, then 15 seconds to write it. So we should be expecting them in maybe a further 10 seconds.
There's one already, which is almost certainly aimed for you, which is, would it be a good idea if Satoshi comes out?
What, as gay? No, that would be a terrible idea. Satoshi's dead anyway, so yeah, no. I think that Satoshi's healthy. But I also found an interesting post on Bitcoin Forum the other day from somebody that went as a Bitcoin Forum post from 2011. Somebody went to the CIA and then never posted again on Bitcoin Forum about Bitcoin. And this was around the same time that Satoshi disappeared. So I found that pretty interesting.
Fair enough. Someone's asking you to be a guardian.
Yeah.
AKA buy more, sell your Lambo.
Yeah, no, the Lambo, I got an offer on it today, £75,000. I'm not selling it for £75,000. It's not. It's worth more than that to me. I want 95k for it. If somebody wants to offer it, £95,000, you can buy my Lambo.
Now, Mr. Omodulus has turned up. He's gonna.
I'll swap it for a guardianship.
I don't know how much guardianship is. It's been around 10 billion. So that's like, yeah, that's more. You need 2 Lambos.
Yeah, so swap me one guardianship for one Lambo. That seems like a fair deal, and you get me as well. That's the other part of the deal.
Proposal ideas. If you were a guardian, someone's asked, what are some proposal ideas? Oh, well, you already said about the in physical marketing.
Yes, I think that would be. Can you put forward a proposal like that?
Yeah, I think.
And you could the cult that would then issue the Ethereum to the wallet, and then you would use that Ethereum as the budget for.
That's what they did with the billboard.
Oh, I quite like that. I can't
You need to get Carl to do it for you.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. Somebody else get Kyle to do it. I'm busy.
I think to be fair, I think that happens a lot, to be honest. I think Carl himself has thought of a few things, but I think he only put through his first one the other day. Do we think there is still a big narrative for metaverse projects as they currently exist, or do they need to change before serious pump in the metaverse sector? That one will be for me. In regards to that, I think that at any stage there can be a new entry into the metaverse, something like Meta when they rebranded. It's literally just, again, like I mentioned earlier about like sparks and a flame. It can come from anything. It can be a statement released by Apple, Microsoft, anybody venturing in, and that's all it takes. I think even in the depths of the bear market, when JP Morgan set up they bought like a parcel in Decentraland for a bank, and it pumped about 30% and outperformed everything for ages. Obviously, it's back down now, but all it takes is one headline sometimes, and it can come from anywhere. I mean, the only open world metaverse at present is Decentraland, and it's pretty limited in what you can do besides walk around, explore. Like, there's a few gamification features, but it definitely needs further to go when more stuff starts opening up. Yes, but in terms of we've all seen that tokens don't even need utility to go on massive runs, let alone actually completed products. So I don't think it's a case where the next metaverse run comes when there is product and more product. I think that it's going to come from a headline. It's going to be a random spark that sets it off again, just like when Facebook just out of nowhere we rebranded.
I'm quite confident that the metaverse space will keep growing, but I also think that there is the first platform to tie it all together. That's going to do so well. There's lots of individual little scammy verses that everyone has made, but there's no like way of tying all the little scammy-verses together to make one actual metaverse. Because the idea behind the metaverse is not that everyone has their own metaverse. That defeats the point of the metaverse. The metaverse, it's the concept of putting everything on the internet and then living inside it. Is my best understanding of the metaverse. So people inventing their own metaverses, really what you're just doing is inventing an online game with land that you can buy within the game. Whoever manages to successfully integrate big brands and properly build out infrastructure that is fun to use and not a chore, which most of it is a chore, most of it is a marketing exercise. Oh, look, so and so has put a logo in the sandbox. Who gives a crap? I don't care. Like, why would I care?
We did that on all of our land. I said, make sure that we've got the vEmpire logo. We want to make sure that we've got that for everyone to see, because they're going to be looking at the map. But yeah, I mean, it's like when they go into and put, all of these banks in the metaverse. What frustrates me so much, right? So I was, when I first started out, I was putting some money into crypto, taking some fiat. And HSBC gave me absolute hell trying to get money into crypto. Like literally made it as difficult as possible. And then suddenly they're in the metaverse talking about like just sailing on the hype, because the metaverse is in hype. So suddenly they want to set something up because it's good for headlines. And in reality, anti like crypto bank ever. Obviously, they are Hong Kong, they're Chinese bank. I think HSBC is.
They launder money for the cartels, don't they? HSBC. They've been in trouble for that a few times. They want to keep. That's why they want everything outside of the metaverse, so that we can't see what they're actually doing with all of everyone's money. Like banking and the metaverse don't go together, because banks commit so much fraud. Like we'd all be able to see it. It wouldn't make any sense.
Well, that's the opaqueness they mentioned before. But yeah, I think. I mean, the metaverse, yeah, it does need to get a move on. I mean, we've got the alpha seasons coming up for Sandbox, which is a good chance for people to experience what it's going to be like. Sandbox is, yeah, it's very good in terms of, compared to Decentraland, I think like a 1x1 parcel in the Sandbox is 10 times bigger than what you get in Decentraland. And you can do a lot more for games.
I'm going to interrupt you and say I got pulled over by, not pulled over, then I was walking along the street and a policeman came up to me and recognized me. And but of course, when a policeman is coming up to you, like, oh dear, what's this for? But anyway, we got past that part fairly quickly, and then he was like, I bought these metaverse frogs, and I was like, what? I bought metaverse frogs. I bought these frogs that are in the metaverse. They're NFTs. Are they great, aren't they? I was like, what? What are you talking about? What are metaverse frogs? And this is the kind of thing that I think, thank God it's coming to an end, this stage in crypto whereby people are going out and buying metaverse frogs thinking it's the future. And first thing I said is like, sell it. Please sell it. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your money. And I've been keeping track of these metaverse frogs anyway. And they've gone down and down and down and down and down because they provide zero utility. You can't just add some bloody utility to what you're doing. Don't just have a picture of a frog.
It's not like, Swampverse, is it?
No, it was like some proper niche. I don't know where he'd found it. Obviously, seen it on a billboard somewhere, probably. But it proves that billboard marketing works. It would just trash, complete trash, and there's so much trash in a bull market.
That's what happened when Facebook rebranded. Every man and his dog wanted a metaverse project and a gaming project. And then when we were trying to talk to like exchanges and stuff and talking about us, and they were just like, oh yeah, so you're going off the back of the metaverse trend. And I was like, no, we were here before, but there we are. Coming up to the 1 hour and 20 minute mark. I think unfortunately we're gonna have to love you and leave you.
Yes.
Audience and everyone, thanks so much for coming. And you, Jordan, yeah, really good show. Make sure you like and subscribe to vEmpire and to that Martini Guy. Link is below. Goodbye, Cult fam. Goodbye, Vemp fam. And yeah, I'll see you next Wednesday. And yeah, we'll be on Twitter as always.
pleasure coming on. And
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
get.
eyes are always the most awkward part. Like, see you. That's it. Bye.
I think we'll get a real snippet this time for the next one. But yeah, and also not financial advice, but look at VEMP, everybody. See you later.
Bye.